Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And I was a prosecutor in Oakland for 7 years. And it was very frustrating that many times it felt like the victims had none of the rights, and the bad guys had all of the rights. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's really focus on like serious, violent, sexual. Those three. If you like throw the book at those three, right? And throw the resources at those three, and then you show compassion and redemption for non-serious, non-sexual, non-violent, and believe that those folks, have a pathway into our community, I think you can get it right.
Yeah. That was Congressman Eric Swalwell. The radio appearance he did in 2025. Welcome, my friends, to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. 800-848. Should we take calls today? We shouldn't. Okay. I was thinking about taking some calls, actually. 800-848-92, but I don't know. 922, maybe. Because, folks, I'll tell you what, it is just a plethora of things to discuss, not only the Swalwell case, what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz. Carlos, you will be perhaps very upset to learn that something has happened in the sporting world, that it seems to be terrible. What? I'll tell you what. I've got a headline right here. Fans express outrage, I tell you, at the U.S. Cup ticket prices. Do you know that just to get in the games, the FIFA games, the early games in Los Angeles and Atlanta, tickets are going for over $500 a piece? Now, are you going to pay $500 to go see a bunch of people playing some World Cup thing in the early rounds? No. I'll tell you, folks. But this Swalwell thing is too much. Princess Di had just the most wonderful analysis on the weekend show over it. And here we are, and within hours afterwards, she said she didn't think he was going to last. It was done. It was a done deal. And so it came to be. Now, the way that this is being handled in certain quarters, to me, is almost laughable. This has been a Democrat operation. It is a Democrat operation. On Saturday, I really examined the statement that CNN aired from the alleged victim in this. And I say alleged because I'm not buying her story. I'm not saying nothing happened, but I'm not buying the story as presented. It was just too full of holes, and there was no pushback on it. But other people came forward, and then it became the nanny, and he did something with the Brazilian nanny, did something to get her, and then it became the millionaires throwing him out of his house, and then it was story after story after story. Another one surfaced. There's pictures now with him in a room with somebody that's supposedly a sex worker, and it's showing him in the bed, on the bed with no socks, with socks on his feet. That's what you see pointing in the camera, his socks, as he's on the bed in some awkward pose with some woman that's supposed to be a sex worker. And then we learned that there were nude pics, D-pics. You know what I mean by D-pics, don't you? Yeah, we got D-pics floating around. Well, not we, because I haven't seen them and I don't want to see them. And then it happened in just a 24-hour barrage. This was one of the best well-coordinated political hit jobs I have ever seen executed, and I must hand it to the Democrat Party. You guys pulled out a masterful hit job on this guy. One of your own. It was one of the best political hit jobs ever. They made up their mind they were going to take him out, and they showed you how it's done. We're going to take him out, and we will have no mercy. We're going to do a layered approach. And the hits just kept on coming until he relented, and he had to pull out, so to speak. Well, he did have to pull out, so to speak. And, you know, Eric Swalwell had it easy. I mean, he announced for governor, and right away, all the big names lined up behind him. He wanted to be the next governor of California right away. All of the big party leadership just lined up right behind him. It was just easy as 1, 2, easy peasy 3. You had Shifty Schiff. You had all these congressmen. You had Gavin Newsom didn't. He just kind of stayed out of it. But you had almost the entire leadership of the Democrat Party. Yes, Swalwell's a guy. They don't like this woman, Katie Porter. They don't like her too much. She's mean to her staff anyway. According to news reports. I don't know the woman. Yeah, but the news reports say she's very mean to her staff. And so, the Katie Porter woman. Yeah, she
was on video.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, berating her staff member. So now, and then there's this guy, Tom Steyer, the billionaire. But anyway, so you had, yes.
I have a question. I saw a tweet that they said that they sent some questionnaires about Kamala going for governor. And I want to ask you, do you think in order for that, they had to take Eric out of the way to make more room for Kamala? Because there's no way she's going to win in 2028, the presidential, not the Democratic ticket.
You're becoming quite the analyst, aren't you, my friend? Well, here's the thing. You're becoming quite the political analyst. You're asking me these kind of questions. Yeah, Mike. So they trying to look. Kamala's not going to enter in the governor's race out in California because she doesn't want to be embarrassed. She's trying to leave space before the time that she will announce whether she's going to be another $1 billion baby or not. And right now it's too soon for her. And hopefully if her team has any sense, they know that. Besides, the point is not to put more Democrats in. The point is to get less Democrats running so that they can coalesce around one and beat the 2 Republicans. This is all about the 2 Republicans that were coming in the polling, number 1 and number 2. They don't want Republicans, which necessitated the Democrats to pull the hit job on what's-his-face, Fang Fang's guy, Swalwell, that they did. And this has been a brilliantly executed hit job. But as I was saying, he easily got the endorsements of everybody. And it just goes to show you, my friends, sometimes the oldest maxims, the oldest phrases that we know, all of the things that the elders tell us are true. Once in a great while, here's what happens. Easy come, easy go. And that is what happened with Swalwell's governor race. It was easy come, and now it's easy go. We've got a lot to do, my friends. When we get back here, we're going to take our break early.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, Snerdley here with you. See, this is what it's like to be me. I'll ask my royal court for some help here. I said, you know what? I need the advice of the court on how we can better protect women. I need the advice of my royal court. I reached out reached out in hopes that I would get an affirmative, positive reaction, looking for the advice from our very dear, beloved Princess Diana, and perhaps Lady Benedict would chime in, and some of the other royal women of the court. And instead, what do I get back? Oh, I get this as a bloody response. Well, I get this as a response. Well, what is a woman? What is a woman? Democrats can't answer that question, so how can there be protection from Democrat interns? Maybe Monica Lewinsky can help. Okay, this is headed perhaps in the right direction, but here's the dilemma. We have heard for decades that men, particularly men in power, treat women badly. And the more power that men have, apparently the worse they treat women, particularly younger women, younger impressionable women who are in the flower of their life and blossoming. And the fruit, of course, looks to be ripening just to peak perfection, if you will. And these vultures, these evil, old, crotchety, sleazy, snarky, nasty, perverted, highly testosterone-charged, sexual predator men take advantage of these young flowers of virtue. And so my question is, ladies and gentlemen, how do we prevent this from happening over and over again? Apparently it is the nature of men, most men that like women, to prey on these young, vulnerable flowers. And nothing seems to work. There are already laws in Congress prohibiting members of Congress from having sexual relations with their subordinates. That, however, has not deterred males in Congress from seeking out these young, beautiful, voluptuary, in some cases, statuesque beauties, and harboring ill will toward them. So how do we protect young women from older, in some cases, men? Even the young older ones, the ones that are just a few years older, 2 or 3 years older than these women. Men in power take advantage of women. It can no longer be denied. This happens over and over again. Whether it's Eric Swalwell or other men like this character in Texas that they also want to throw out. They prey on these young, vulnerable women. So how can we stop this phenomenon? There is a way, my friends. We have to keep these women away. We have to make sure that we do not allow young, vulnerable, especially liberal women to be in the same offices, in the same workplaces as these predator men. It has to stop. We're coming back.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Things changed really quickly, and it really left Eric Swalwell with no choice in terms of dropping out of the race. I mean, just take a look at the Kalshi prediction markets. Chance that Swalwell wins the California governorship. You go back to the beginning of the month, look at this. It was about 3-5. He was the clear favorite at this point to be the next California governor. But by Friday, his chances were already adios amigos, goodbye, basically. He was down to 2%. He saw the writing on the wall. And then, of course, now we're at a 0% chance as he has suspended his campaign. But Eric Swalwell dropped out of this race because, simply put, there was no path forward for him to be the next California governor.
James Golden Snerdley. Okay, the women are weighing in, the ladies of the royal court. Lady Benedict said, what if they identify as other genders? Of course, being a wise guy. Thank you, Lady Benedict. I'm very serious about this, folks. Seriously. We have to find some way, shouldn't we, as a society, to protect young girls? Especially these young liberal women seem to be more vulnerable than most subsets. And I'm saying that anecdotally. I don't know whether it's true, of course. Look, men are going to be men. Can we agree upon that? That what drives men hormonally is not going to stop. You can have all the regulations you want. There are already regulations in Congress. You're not allowed to, I started to use a very crude term, and I caught myself in time. You're not allowed to plunder amongst the help. You're not allowed to have sexual relationships with your subordinates. It's a rule. In fact, that's what they're bringing up Eric Swalwell on ethics charges for, among other things. But people do it anyway. It's like the liberals used to say about kids. You can't stop them. Kids are going to do it anyway. Well, the men apparently are going to do it anyway. And so if we're really interested in the well-being of young women, shouldn't we get serious about this and perhaps put an age limit on how old you have to be a staffer for a male congressman? Maybe 40 or 50 years old, to make sure that you are a mature woman or a woman that has had a chance to become mature and not set up to be deflowered and to be abused in the springtime of your womanhood. Perhaps we need to protect women by keeping them away, especially from congressmen of all parties. And perhaps it needs to extend even beyond that, because apparently women, despite the fact that we are told no means no, apparently women, in some cases, don't know how to say no. In fact, some women, like this one that went on CNN, called Swalwell and asked him to go out drinking with her because she supposedly naively thought that even though he had attacked her in the past, why he wouldn't do it again. And she wanted a business relationship, so she asked him could he come out to a bar with her. Yeah, that's the story we heard, Carl. That's what she said. That's what she told CNN. We need to protect these women. It's our responsibility as a society. If these women cannot protect themselves, we know that they don't have the physical strength to. We know that, we should give them all sorts of, I don't care about age discrimination. We have to look at the larger issues here. We want our women protected. We don't want them spoiled and deflowered and taken to levels of depravity simply because they want to serve their country in Congress. We don't want this for our women. We want them to be protected. And we need a society that protects women. because it's obvious they cannot protect themselves from these violent, predatory, perverted men who only think with their small head. It's time that we do something about it. And I am open for your suggestions if you don't think that this is the way to go. But it is obvious that these women need to be protected. Moving on. Donald Trump. Play cut 6, Carlos. We have the Trump and Pope Leo back to back. Here we go.
We don't like a Pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a Pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. Now, I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
I have no fear of neither the Trump administration nor speaking out loudly about the message of the gospel. And that's what I believe. And I am called to know what the church is called to do. We're not politicians. We're not looking at making foreign policy, as he calls it, with the same perspective that he might understand it. But I do believe that the message of the gospel, the lesson of the peacemakers, is a message that the world needs to hear tonight.
So the Pope, we're not politicians. But he has made some political statements. And they seem to be targeted at the Trump administration, not, for instance, the Iranian regime. You make of that as what you will. So then there was the AI picture. Trump posted a picture right away. The news media said, oh, he's depicting himself as Jesus. I didn't recall seeing Jesus under the caption. It was a picture. But Trump was asked about that. They deleted the picture now, by the way. Cut 8. And he was asked about it, and this is what he said about the picture, supposedly that the mainstream press said depicted him as Jesus.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it. And I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better. And I do make people better. I make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's going through some very serious cancer treatment. So.
Yes, sir.
He's talking to the woman that delivered his McDonald's to the White House. The DoorDasher. He had a DoorDasher come in and deliver his McDonald's to the White House. Okay, deal or no deal? Cut 9. Trump asked about the deal. Iranian, we are blocking off the Strait of Hormuz.
President, are another round of talks planned with Iran? And if so, will you send Vice President J.D. Vance there?
Well, he's done a good job. It's Steve and Jared. They've all done a very good job. And I can tell you that we've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly. Very badly.
Cut 10. Just right to it. And he was asked, well, what happens if there ain't no deal?
Mr. President, if the deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Now, Mike Pompeo had some interesting things. Former Secretary of State. Don't quote him much on the show. By the way, Mike Pompeo lost so much weight, he's hardly recognizable from what he looked like before. He lost a lot of weight. Good for you, Mike. You look great. This is cut 12, former Secretary of State Pompeo on the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz.
Look, I don't see the ceasefires being over, but Iran now has a very difficult decision to make. Yeah. It's already had significant resources depleted. It's already found itself in a politically difficult spot with most of its leadership wiped out. But they'll now have the choice to make, right? President Trump has essentially gone for the jugular. He will cut off essentially all revenue that has been flowing into the Iranian regime. And so now they'll have to decide. But imagine that they fire on an American vessel or American escorted vessel that's moving through. President Trump will unleash even more fury, and that can only put them in a lesser position. So I think President Trump has done a very smart thing. I think this is superior to having put boots on the ground to try and take one of the islands. This will put not only the Iranians but the Chinese in a very difficult spot, where now they will have to buy market-based, market-priced oil, or convince the Iranians to stand down and allow the strait to be reopened.
Interesting analysis, that. Meanwhile, my friends, a diversion from interesting, from sound, from logical. Why not, since it's a Monday, have a little levity for a moment and turn to the serpent head. James Carville, my friends, on another one of his infamous rants against President Donald Trump. This time, he also included another political figure in his rantings. So, with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we present for your entertainment and political pleasure the analysis of Democrat analyst James Carville.
I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, stupid son of a bitch, quit smelling your own farts. That's Lindsey Graham's job. Now you quit doing that. Now the next time you feel any potential activity in your lower colon, I want you to call Lindsey and be sure that he has the fart ringtone so he knows to get down to the White House quickly to get his nose up your ass and so you can fart in his face. Quit smelling your own farts. You got that? And if you're nice to Lindsey, he might let you smell one of his. Right now, you stop smelling your own farts, you son of a bitch. That's Lindsey's job. And if you ask Lindsey nice, who knows? Maybe y'all could just get into a fart smelling contest and, but we're going to post a fart ringtone so you can give that to Lindsey so he knows when to hurry up and get down to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And you just sit still and prepare to get your f***ing ass kicked. You're going to get it kicked so bad.
That was James Carville with his latest political analysis for President Trump. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, with all of the controversy surrounding Eric Swalwell this week, and a lot of people have been playing many of his more famous appearances on media, things that he said, and things in some cases that he's done. Keep in mind the subject of the last soundbite that you heard from James Carville with his political analysis. And let's go back a few years to an appearance that Eric Swalwell made on national television. MSNBC was the network at the time. He was on with Chris Matthews, Cut 17. And listen closely, folks, and this is how this appearance went on live television.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard.
My friends, that was national TV. Carlos, did you pick up yeah? Eric Swalwell didn't even blink while he delivered his message. For those of you that may have missed it, we're going to play it just one more time. Listen very carefully to Eric Swalwell on national TV with Chris Matthews.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard.
Eric Swalwell. Greatest hits.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, over the on the Saturday show, we had an interview with Michael Gillen, who is, you may remember him as Dr. G. Dr. Gillen was ABC News science editor for many years, GMA, World News Tonight, all those various and sundry things. He has 3 PhDs, one in mathematics, the other in physics, another in physics, and another in astronomy. So he's just an amazing guy, world-renowned author, so many books. And he has a new movie out, The Invisible Everywhere, and basically the thing is about his own personal journey from an atheist to a firm believer in God. And it was science, he says, science that convicted him. And he has a great op-ed today on Fox News, The Quantum Mystery That May Explain How God Knows Every Thought You Have. That's the name of it. It's on Fox. You can look it up. The Quantum Mystery That May Explain How God Knows Every Thought You Have by Michael Gillen. It is an amazing article on Fox digital site today.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit ASBgold.com. That's ASBgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.